Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And what we're featuring here today, to begin with, of the 5 decks we're featuring, is this Winteran buff deck. This is the third buff deck we featured in the past week. We featured Ika's deck, which I used to hit Infinite, which ended up being a really high win rate deck, even in Infinite. We featured Binks's, which is one of the more consistent lists. Both have a higher win rate than this one overall, but this one is significantly better in high Infinite. This one has one of the top high Infinite win rates in Marvel Snap and has climbed the highest of any on the Infinite leaderboard in the hands of Winteran. You might notice that this deck is really trying to cheat out 4 drops early. That is its snap condition. If it can cheat out Galactic, Gwenpool, or Iron Lad early, whether using Psylocke, Zabu, or Agony into Penny Parker, you are able to put ungodly amounts of power onto the board. You need Zabu, Sebastian Shaw, Galacta, and Gwenpool for this list. Please note, all 4 of those are former Season Pass cards, as I urge you once again to consistently buy that Season Pass when you can. Treat this game as a subscription model where possible. It will make everything significantly easier going forward for you. Iron Lad and Scarlet Spider are both 4 drops, and thus they are cards you can ramp into. They are not the cards you do want to ramp into, though. Iron Lad is a consistency piece when you do, however. You can replace them with Captain Marvel, Grandmaster, and Absorbman. Please note that Captain Marvel and Absorbman in particular are cards that also cost 4 and thus can be made cheaper by Zabu. Agony is needed if you have Penny Parker. If not, Hulkbuster, Forge, Grandmaster are perfectly fine replacements. This is again the top ranked buff of the Asia server. So Zabu or Agony of Penny is your turn 1 play, and those are generally better than America Chavez. Penny on Agony, Psylocke or a 1-drop is your turn 2 play. You would really like to get out Galactic and Gwenpool early. That is again your goal. If you cannot get them out early, Iron Lad is fine. If none of that works, you can feel free to just drop the whatchamacallit, the spider on Penny, and you'll be totally fine. You can do whatever other early plays to start a setup for later that you want. Please try and keep one lane relatively clear because a nice big brood is pretty damn strong. 4 is the same as 3. If you don't see Galactic, Gwenpool, or Iron Lad by turn 4, though, you're probably dead. You need to be hitting one of those or you're probably running. You are fairly likely to see one of the 3 by turn 4, and Lad, obviously, hitting Galactic or Gwenpool is huge. Turn 5, you'd very much like to drop Scarlet Spider. A buffed Scarlet Spider is your goal, or a buffed Shaw Brood with another card is perfectly fine as well. Turn 6, Shaw, Brood, and trigger Scarlet, and you've now put up 20 plus power in basically every lane, and your opponent will have a very hard time beating you without a card like Shadow King, while also being able to stay fairly reasonably outside of Sebastian Shaw, right under the Shang-Chi range. That's the beauty of this deck. It puts out a ton of power while being very hard to interact with outside of Shadow King. Although be wary during this current hot location of the, I don't know, the Chimichanga thing. There is a lot more Shadow King, and there are a lot more decks similar and putting up similar power to this than there would otherwise be in a normal time. So while this deck seems great for the hot location, it's instead going to give you a bunch of mirrors. But right after the hot location, this is what I'd play. I'd also be looking at this deck if I were trying to hit Infinite. I think Strength buff is the single simplest thing to try and hit Infinite with right now, so I urge you to check that out. We're going to look at the number 3 ranked deck in Marvel Snap after this, which is an Arishem list. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask you to hit that sub button, as we are only 120 subs away from 16,000, which is our goal for 2024. If you could help us get there, it would mean the absolute world to us. In return, we're going to give away a season pass this week. We're going to give away a copy of Galacta this week. All you have to do is sub and like. Later in this video, I'm going to ask a question. Your answer to that question in the comments enters you to win Galacta. That's it. We do it every day this week. At the end of the week, we announce a Galacta winner, and we have a Galacta winner announcement later this video too. All right, BBAK. Remember BBAK? Number 1 player in February, number 2 in like June or July. Quit for a little while, came back, and is immediately near the top of the Infinite leaderboard again. BBAK is currently ranked number 3 with Thanos Arishem. Arishem was just nerfed to have 12 cards in the deck, which is a buff, but also not give you extra energy until turn 3. Thanos is stellar and totally fine with that proposition, because what Thanos says is you have 6 early play cards that help you draw into your powerful late game stuff. This is going to take cards like Agent Coulson out and instead give extra priority to cards like Valentina and Cable, which can draw you into stuff that you can immediately play and immediately do. Outside of that, this list is just running the most powerful things possible. We've got like Shadow King and Shang as the most powerful tech cards, along with Mobius. We've got Galactus as the best big 4-drop, Mockingbird as cheap energy, Legion to scam things, and we can just sort of win a million ways. You can find BBAK at twitter.com/BBAK_snap. Again, this is one of the best players in the world, the current #1 player on the Asia server, and former #1 player in the world. This deck needs exactly 3 cards. You need Arishem, you need Mockingbird, and you need Eliath. You do need those 3, though. You can try something like Blob for Eliath, but I do think you're going to end up regretting it long term. Mockingbird is just so cheap in this deck. It's absurd how much power you get for cheap. Thanos can be any big card. We're talking Dino, Gore, whatever. I really like Thanos in Arishem right now, but it's not a requirement. There are Arishem lists that have just as high a win rate without Thanos. Just the highest ranked one, the #3 ranked one, is in fact a Thanos deck. Galacta and Legion can be Vision, Gwenpool, Captain Marvel. Pick your poison as far as good 4 and 5 cost cards go. I would not be hesitating to play Enchantress in that spot either right now. Valentina is good, also Series 4, also making you more likely to draw her in current, much like Grandmaster, more likely to draw her in that randomized spot in Spotlights, which is more heavily weighted to Series 4 cards and Series 5 cards, so keep an eye out for the chance to get Valentina or Mobius that way. But Valentina can be Mirage or Penny Parker, and Mobius can be Luke Cosmo. Mobius can be a lot of other cards, but most of the other replacements are high series cards. Like a Copycat makes a lot of sense, a Cassandra Nova makes a lot of sense, etc. So don't worry about that. That is perfectly freaking fine. We all good? That's our replacements here. So turn by turns for Arishem are always a little weird because you're going to get a bunch of random stuff. But the general gist of what you're trying to do, turn 1 is draw with stones over Quinjet because you can always play Quinjet later. Turn 2 is the same thing as turn 1. You want to draw or play Quinjet over Valentina over Cable, but it is worth knowing that if you play Valentina, whatever card she gives you is playable on turn 3 when you suddenly get that energy. You would prefer to Galacta at that point, but Valentina card is an option. You can do some of your earlier combos, a drawn card, or you can just drop Mobius. It's fine to drop Mobius and a Drawstone, Mobius and a Quinjet. Mobius is extremely powerful into the meta. There's a lot of like incidental cost reduction, and a lot of that is just like Zabu is every freaking where right now. Turn 4, you want Legion or Galacta or Thanos. If you played a Time Stone, Thanos costs 5, which means you get a 5/10 on turn 4. Seems pretty good. Legion can often scam a location. You don't have to play Legion early, but fine. And Galacta is just so big. If you can play Galacta in a 1-drop, all of a sudden you've played at least 9, but more likely 10, 11, 12 points of power. Pretty good. Turn 5 is the same concept as turn 4. You would like to save Eliath, but you can do it here if you think there's a key card. Like if you know they're going to Iron Man, if you know they're going to Sarah, that kind of thing. Turn 6, Eliath or Shang and Mockingbird type cards. Shadow King, etc. You get the idea. And then you win, because this is, again, we said Arishem was nerfed. Oops, Arishem is still one of the very best decks in Marvel Snap once more. After this, we're going to look at an all Dan Hip Infinite, and we've still got 2 more decks after that. But yeah, this is BBAK's Arishem deck. It is the, again, current #3 ranked deck on the Infinite leaderboard behind Sizer's Move Bounce and Skada's, I don't know what to call it, Thanos idiocy thing that will feature in tomorrow's video. Cool. This is one of the best lists in the game. Arishem is back. It never went anywhere unless it was semi out of the meta for literally a day, and now it's cracked again. This is just one of the best cards ever printed in Marvel Snap. So those of you who are very worried about this card, I'm happy / worried to report it's still here. Season Pass question for today is, what's your favorite 4-cost card? Mine is currently Anti-Venom, which I think I like better than Shang-Chi, at least for the time being. That is my favorite 4-cost card. Tell me what yours is in order to enter to win a Galacta, or just if you want to participate and talk. Last week's Season Pass winner is XC Warrior. XC Warrior, please reach out to me on Twitter, Discord, or email. Discord is Pulse Glazer, Twitter is SnapJudgeCast, and email is snapjudgmentspod@gmail.com. Reach out to get your Galacta. Finally, if you'd like to check out a stream, I'm streaming almost every day at various times, usually for only an hour or 2, but if you can make it, I'd appreciate it at twitch.tv/pulseglazer. If you go check it out and hit that follow button now, you'll get the notification when I go live, and hopefully you'll join me for a little bit and hang out. I've been having a really good time streaming. I didn't think I would like it, but it turns out I do. I've also been making these slideshows live on stream, so if you want to get this a little bit early and like find out a little bit about these decks, please make sure you check it out. All right. GB Harasame hit Infinite with a reasonably good rank with an all hip deck. I mean, there's no easier way. For those of you who are new here, Dan Hip is my favorite artist in Marvel Snap. I actually hated him when I started the game, and then as I was like playing with my son, he's 8. He was like, "Oh my God, I love Dan Hips." Now he doesn't like Dan Hips as much because he's starting to get too cool for that. But he used to love Teen Titans Go, and the same art was really his jam. And so I've got every hip in the game, but two bundle hips I'm missing. I'm missing the Devil Dino. I was able to buy the Moon Girl from the Collector's Vault, and I'm missing the Groot, who I'm waiting to show up at a Collector's Vault at some point. So those are the last 2 hips I need, and I love seeing an all hip infinite list. So if you want to be cool and featured on the channel, do something all hip, y'all. I think Phoenix Force is the only way to really do so viably. So you can find GB Harasume at twitter.com/thatname. This needs Phoenix Force, Nico, Zabu, and Nemrod, which is everything. This would love to run a Dan Hip torch, but that doesn't exist. So come on, give me a torch, Dan Hip. Get some Fantastic Four love in ya. You can change like several of these cards, but then it won't be all Dan Hip, and then I would be sad. So don't do that, okay? Sorry, you can add Hip Wong if you feel like you must add a card. Add Hip Wong for the Panther combo. Okay, so the easiest way to get featured, doesn't even have to be good. I love Dan Hip. All right, so Zabu or Nico. Zabu turn 1 if Nico isn't on draw 2. Then turn 2 is multiple man. Turn 3 is eat multiple man if you have Phoenix Force. If not, you're gonna Shuri or Iron Lad if you can. Turn 4 Phoenix Force if you can get it off. If not, you're Shuriing here. If you Phoenix Force, you're gonna move it. If you Shuried, you're gonna play Panther or Nimrod. You prefer Nimrod, but Panther is a nice backup plan. Turn 5, if you played Nimrod, you eat it twice. If Panther, you do a 50-50 for Arnim Zola and hope for the best. That's it. You're going to win a reasonable amount because this is very, very straightforward. You just have to be patient and not play out cards when you don't have the right combos. Cool. We're going to look at, I lied about custom cards being next. We're just going to do a bundle review. Custom cards aren't due till December 22nd, but if you're interested in our custom card challenge, drop a comment in the description, drop a comment on this video and I'll tell you what the current custom card contest is. We're going to look at a top deck that Ava is top 10 with after this, but look at how beautiful that is. Hips across the board, baby. If you'd like to see gameplay from all these decks outside of checking out my stream, you can check out the stream team today at 12 p.m. Eastern. Gregor2424 will be playing these lists. Please check out the great Obihaved. We'll have a video up of yesterday's decks as well. All right, Ava's Peni Wiccan. This is an expensive ass list. I am sorry, but Ava came up with a brilliant idea here, and that brilliant idea is Blink, because Penny Parker, when you play on her, lets you ramp into a 5-drop, and you can ramp into Legion or Blink and thus get one of your other combo pieces out. Those other combo pieces are potentially game-winningly powerful. You get an early Gore, you get an early Alioth, or you get an early Wiccan, and all of a sudden you've curved out and really turned this into something special. There's also, if you don't see Wiccan, you can go 2-2 and then you can spend the next turn blinking and getting something powerful going. That kind of thing is really, really hard to overstate how much power you get out of this type of combo. You can find Ava at twitch.tv/Avazorb. This deck needs Wiccan, Alioth, and Blink. Not the most expensive thing we've ever seen here, although it is going to be rough without Penny. You need Legion, can be Vision in this list. Legion is very good to blink into, but not a requirement. Kate and Penny, you need one, ideally Penny, but the other can be Psylocke. Psylocke is really, really good in this list. Jeff, Valentina, or Mordo. Copycat and Speed can be Gladiator, Luke, Cosmo. Pick your poison. Just make sure you replace him with 3-drops. And Gore can be Magneto or Red Hulk, although Gore is very big because there are a ton of on reveals here. Ava has gotten 60% win rate in 300 games, which is absurd. That's how he's top 10. He's played a ton of games at a 60% win rate with this list, and thus he's right near the top of the Infinite Leaderboard. Turn 1, you want Quicksilver. Turn 2, you pick the right 2 for the situation. If you need a 3, you're going to be playing Penny or Kate. If you don't need a 3, you're probably going Cable. If you see that like there might be a cheap card for you to grab, you might want to go Mirage, whatever. Turn 3, Speed Copycat or whatever combination of 2s you need. Turn 4 is Wiccan or 3+1. If you can 3+1, particularly with a Kate card, you can then blink that away. You can also if blink on turn 4 early or Legion on turn 4 early if you did the Penny into Spider play. I don't know why I keep freezing on the Spider. All right, turn 5, you want Blink or Legion +2 if you can, and then Alioth or Gore +2. And sometimes if you can Blink +2, right, you're just going to play the 2-drop and then blink that away so you can keep your Wiccan out. Just crazy strong. This deck is awesome. You should 1000% play it. We're going to finish with a space deck, and I want to talk about something very quickly when we get there. But first, one last look at this. This deck seems more expensive than it is. It is extraordinarily powerful. Wiccan is everywhere. We're done with Wiccan for the day, though, to those of you who are upset that they don't have that card. All right, Tide Hunter. The Tide Hunter is this current bundle. And at 174.5 progression value, you should absolutely not buy it. 174.5 is what we consider an average bundle. We are almost always able to do better than that with our cash at this point. Even at only $10, skip this bundle, please. You will find something better within the next week or two. Unless you absolutely must immediately have that gold for some reason, you can skip this bundle. All right, spaces, friggin' science. All right, so this list is awesome. This is like one of my 2 or 3 favorite types of lists, along with Ajax stuff. Right now, Anti-Venom combos are crazy. Anti-Venom and Galactic combos are crazy. They mean you don't always even need Luke, right? But your goal here is to sort of hit Iron Man or Gore with Anti-Venom. If you do that, you just basically auto-win, because you can frigga that and then get a second copy. Or you can just Galacta off whatever for an absolute insane amount of power. Everything gets cheaper with Ravonna. There's just a ton of ways to play this deck to get an absurd amount of power. This deck needs Zabu, Ravonna, Anti-Venom, and Gore. You do not need other high series cards. Sage can be Wolfsbane. Frigga and Lad can be Mystique, Copycat, and Jubilee. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I play this, I have not played this yet. Space sent it to me. I will be playing this probably on stream tomorrow. I will be adding Mystique to my list. Galactic can be Gwenpool, and Red Guardian can be Rogue. And that's how you play it. Turn 1, you want Zabu. Turn 2, you want Ravonna or Psylocke. Turn 3, you want Anti-Venom or Galacta over Lad over Luke. I want to get Anti-Venom out first if I have Anti-Venom and Galacta in my hand, because then I can play Galacta and my 0-cost card together on turn 4 and get my buff there. Turn 4 is the same thing as 3, or I'm going to drop Iron Man. Turn 5, Anti-Venom card and Frigga, or Iron Man or Gore. And turn 6, same concept, Iron Man or Gore and the Anti-Venom card. And then you win, because you just put out a completely stupid amount of power. You might notice that Sage doesn't really appear on this list, but Sage fits in perfectly fine if you end up going Iron Man on turn 6, or if you don't see Gore and just need to like combo off for other things for power, it works perfectly fine. You can also, if push comes to shove, Sage on turn 4 and Frigga that with another card on turn 5 in order to, or if you have Ravonna, you can do both on turn 5, and then that'll leave you enough power with a giant Sage to likely win the game. This deck is really cool and really powerful, and really one that you should look into and consider playing if these are cards that you have in your collection. Space builds this type of deck for me because the Anti-Venom Frigga stuff is just like one of my favorite things to do in all of Marvel Snap right now. Questions of the day. We're going to begin with Abra, who says, if I was just participating in a tournament, what deck would I bring? So the deck I'm best with is probably Bounce, but I don't think Bounce is especially well positioned for a tournament. I think it's really, really easy to counter right now. I think, honestly, if I was in a tournament and I had to, I would bring the Sizer main, the move deck of Sizers, not the bounce move. That one's too hard for me to play at a tournament, but the one that runs Cosmo, Alioth, and Heimdall and force my opponent to find answers for me. I think that that deck still is really, really great in Conquest and really, really great for tournaments because it forces your opponent into really tough situations and gives you really big high cube wins with cards like Alioth and Cosmo. Fables asks my favorite dessert. Outside of pistachio ice cream, I really like key lime pie. My wife's favorite is key lime pie too. Big, big fan. Also, a reminder for any of you who are in the middle of your Series 3 journeys, if you join our Discord, there is a spot on the Discord where I will build you decks and suggest what cards you should be targeting with your collection in order to most rapidly advance to get active in Marvel Snap, and so you can play at the highest level. So if you're interested in that, please join our Discord and check I think it's called like Laser in Series 3 section. Cool? If you are interested, we have a Patreon where our $2 tier enters tournaments. Our $5 tier gives you early access to these videos. Our $10 tier gets you shoutouts and an exclusive video. So if you're interested in any of those, check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. This is our shoutouts. Thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield, Dirty Casual, Danton, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I am Frostman, J. Navarre, Thinking Poker, Prime, Ryan, I don't know why I'm saying it like that, I'm done. Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Kiritix Lee, the King of Questions, Koi Ray, coming all the way from Japan, Kizushi, Archangel 3K, which is our 4Ks. We just ran a 4K. Black Dahlia, Paraphos the Goat Seeker, Alliance Leader Town, Hollowed, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle. Hey Kerfuffle. Cables. Oh, also Fat Nick, thank you for hanging on stream earlier. As well, thank you, Goat Seeker. Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo. Hey Haplo. What's happening? Ken Loggins of the Danger Zone. Haven't seen you yet, Kenny. Rob Silverman. What's up, my friend? The Bizza. Notoriously. Black Jeep is 23. Extra Fiend Skippy G. Rhyming Friends. Jessica Gamble. Hey, Jess. Timmy Nyquist, who won September League Season 1. The Kinger Bros. Bruh. The Great Kazoo. KFC Hoda. Lunar Chris. Corwin. John Q. Jim McHugh. It's Q Town. Climb. Colonel Forbin. Yestout. 8th. Sage, who's killing it in terms of alliance points. Models Mod Supreme. The Green Goblin. Unibot. Flom 56, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B. J.D. McDonaldinho, The Fuzzy Doll, Spectrum Mix, Hood, Matt H., DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Freckin' Flex, Ocularis, hey Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, Zodrex, the King of Canada, Denman Falcon, Jonesy, Two Ties, the Great Lord O's, the Pirate King Tuccrr, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for. Thanks for watching, y'all. We will be back tomorrow with another video, later with a stream. Don't forget to check it out. We got the top 10 decks in Snap to one side of me, and we got our podcast to the other side of me. Don't miss those either, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. Peace.